Hi, it's fantasy author John Cronshaw here. I am going to read from my book, Dawn of Assassins. This book is available on Kindle and on paperback, so please feel free to get yourself a copy. Prologue. The assassin's blade shimmered bright blue on black as the teardrops took hold. He glanced back at the washed-out echoes behind him, the thin reflection of the real world, scentless and silent and rendered in greys. His target's mind glowed a purplish yellow through the ghost of a door, a tiny spark soon to be extinguished. He drove his dagger into the door and dragged downwards, tearing a rift between realms large enough for him to pass through. Ducking into the portal, the assassin stood for a moment, allowing himself to acclimatize to the sensory overload. The smells of damp socks and wood smoke, the stream of noise from the city beyond, and the colours, so many colours. The target lay on the bed, his mouth half open, his sleeping breaths punctuated by the occasional snort. The assassin wiped the lingering teardrops from his blade with his jacket's hem. As successful contracts mounted up, the tears became harder to summon, as though each completed job took something from him. He reached inside his jacket and uncorked a vial of his own blood. He allowed a drop to fall on the blade, replaced the stopper, and returned the vial to his pocket. For a moment, nothing happened. He turned his head, averted his gaze, as the blade glowed brilliant white and turned to fire in his hand. Silently, he crept towards the target, his dagger throwing orange light across the walls. He stared down at the man's jairy features, his paunch creating a mound beneath the blankets. Taking a breath, the assassin drew his blade across the man's throat, slicing through the flesh, tearing through the windpipe, and scraping along bone. The man's eyes opened. He clawed at his neck, gasping and gurgling for breath. Something hissed. The familiar smell of searing flesh filled the room. The assassin stood back as the man convulsed. The blade dimmed and grew cold in his hands, no doubt sated by its latest victim. The hissing grew louder. Flames erupted across the man's body, spreading along his limbs and torso. Flesh curled and slid from bones, turning to ash in less than a minute. The assassin had seen death, too much death, but he could never get used to the stench of burning hair. Covering his nose, he turned to the nightstand, struck a match, and lit a beeswax candle. He dropped the candle onto the bed, resting it on its side, allowing the blanket to catch a light. Fire spread slowly at first and gathered speed, engulfing the wool and throwing up smoke. Taking one last look at the charcoal husk, he backed towards the rift and re-entered the shadow realm, sealing the gateway behind him. Thank you. That was the prologue to my story, Dawn of Assassins. If you want to read the free prequels to this, you can visit my website. It's johncronshaw.com. Simply enter your email and I'll send you a copy. It's a full-length novel. So we have to start that, then read Dawn of Assassins and hopefully enjoy the rest of the series when it comes out. So you can follow me on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. It's all John Cronshaw Author. So that's JONCRONSHAW. So until next time, cheerio.